Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to a brand new video in the blistering heat, 31 degrees today, but we are still going to be bringing you a rebuild, and today it is going to be Braga, to be honest, a team that have got a lot of history in the Portuguese league, a team that are in deep need of a rebuild, and hopefully in 5 years we can make them the most dominant team in Portugal. If you do enjoy these rebuilds though, please do leave a like on the video, be sure to comment below who you want to see rebuild next, and please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. But let's get in to the squad breakdown and see what we're working with. So, when you take on the Braga job, you're actually only predicted to finish 4th, which I think is fair enough. You don't have a lot of budget, as you can see here, only about 4 million. So, to be honest, after you've dished out new contracts and stuff like that, you're probably not going to have anything to spend in the first season. So, it is a tough job, to be honest. It is difficult, but it is a job which, you know, a viewer wanted to see. So, I'm more than happy to do it. And like I said, any recommendations, I will do. I've still got a few to get through. This was the next one up, so I thought, yeah, let's get it done. So, in terms of the actual squad then, I'm not going to sit here and lie. They actually do have some good players. As you can see here, they've got the likes of like Horta, is a player that obviously I'm very familiar with. Mazrati Vitinha, again, a player who I don't think, unfortunately, we're going to be able to keep. Just because he's a player who actually has got a lot of promise and abilities, and I think he probably will want to leave at some point. But as you can see here, you've got Horta, you've got Olivier, you've got Seguero, you've got Castro, older players. There are quite a few Asian players in this side. But overall, the team's actually not too bad, if we're being honest. As you can see, though, we actually have a £4.5 million budget, which is very poor. You can't do anything with that, really, to be honest with you. Because the players that we have, although they're not world-class, they are decent. So we're not going to bring anyone in who is going to out-position the players that we have for that amount of money. What I might do is I might see if we can get anyone for this money, just purely as depth. So let's see what we do in the first season of transfers. Answer that question. We made no transfers. We couldn't get anyone in on that deal. The loanees actually couldn't even afford the wage. I tried to get a few players in on loan, but we couldn't even hack the wage. So this is the first time, if I'm right, I've ever done a rebuild, and in the first window, we have not brought anyone in on transfer or loan. The first time. It's purely not liable to do so. But the team we've got is still a very, very good team. Shout out RDF again for a tactic. It is going to be his 4-3-3 perfecto. I've not actually used this, but I looked at the team, I looked at the style I wanted to play, and this was a perfect fit, so shout out to him. But this team's still a very good side without even making any signings. I've got to be careful, though, because we have got a few loanees into the club who probably won't stick around, and obviously any one of these players, a bigger team comes in, chances are they are going to want to go. But we have got like Matthews in goal, we've got Gomez, Olivier, Tormena, Sakria, El Mazrati, Horta, Castro, Medeiros, Horta, and Vitinha. So it is a very, very good side. But let's get into the first season and see how we do. We've done incredible. To be honest, we did very, very good. We actually somehow managed to win the league. Something which I didn't think we were going to do. Because obviously, if you look at the league, there are some poor teams. But you've got Benfica, you've got Sporting, you've got Porto. 3 teams I would put above this team in the current state, but we actually come out all guns blazing, sorry, and we also managed to win the Portugal Placards, I think that's how you say that, and also the Super Tacker. And to be honest, we beat Sporting in 2 finals, so we had the big team's numbers all the way through the season, not only in the league. We were also the top goal scorer, scoring 119 and only conceding 27. So overall, a pretty much flawless season. And to be honest, I'm hoping we do get a little bit of money to spend, because I think if we do get money to spend, we could arguably be making this a very, very dominant team, even in Europe, to be honest. But let's have a little breakdown of some stats then. So you got 33 assists and 16 goals coming in from Medeiros. You've got 6 assists and 10 goals coming from Tormena. Abel Ruiz, you have actually got 8 assists and 25 goals. And Mazrati, a player that I did give a lot of hype to at the start, 14 assists and 17 goals. 14 assists and 31 goals coming from Horta. Probably one of our best players in the side. Any other real standouts? 19 assists coming from Horta. Again, not to be confused with the other Horta as well. A lot of consistent players, to be honest, this year. And do you know what? I'm very proud of the team. I didn't think we'd actually be able to come out and win it in the first bounce. Did I think we could become dominant? I do. With a bit of money, I thought we could dominate Portugal, but not in the first season did I think we would win the league. And this brings me in, before we get into the second season, we always look how much money we've got. And we've actually been given a decent chunk compared to how we to what we got at the start. We got £22 million to spend, which is actually quite a lot, considering you can obviously do installments and things like that. Do take into account that we are going to lose a few players probably most seasons, purely because I don't want to say we're a small club, but there are a lot more appealing clubs if you want to progress and win trophies. So it is going to be hard to keep players. Also, some players aren't happy at the club. So it might be down to a case that a lot of this money goes to replacements, not to bolster the team. But let's get in to the second season, which is going to be a transfers, and see who we can sign. Well, unfortunately, it did happen. The board actually agreed to sell Vitinha partway through what would be the season. So I was given the task pretty much to try and replace him, and I feel like I have done so. But before we talk about that, all these players on the free, I didn't let them go on the free. I tried to offer them contracts, but none of them are interested. This is the big thing. These big players obviously want to play European football, and when they're not getting it, they are very annoyed. Obviously, some of these players aren't top players, but they just weren't happy at the club. But the players we brought in, honestly, are great replacements. We brought in Benjamin Sesko from Salzburg for 17.5 million, which, to be honest, is very cheap for a player of his stature. Paulo Duquoz from Verona for 7.25 million. To be honest with you, these two signings were pretty much the only defenders we could tempt into the club. A lot of players aren't interested in joining the Portuguese league unless you are also a presence in the Champions or Europa League, and unfortunately we're not at the moment. So we signed him, and also we signed Lustrasel Gatuda. I hope that's how you say that. Apologies if I got that wrong. From Feyenoord for 12.5 million. In terms of the actual players, and obviously I'm not even going to talk about this guy too much. We all know who Benjamin Sesko is. Leipzig have actually made probably one of the best transfer moves they have in years signing this guy. One of the best strikers about, so young, loads of years to grow. So fair play to him. Moving on then to what is going to be the first play. It's not a signing which I'll typically make, but he was one of the players on the market who did want to join. So I thought we'll get him in. He looks solid, and we did lose a couple of centre-backs, or a centre-back. So I thought we'll get him in. Again, decent tackling, good strength, decent jumping. Not the best centre-back, but he is very good for this league. And then this guy actually ended up being pretty much what I was after. A perfect flex between right back and centre back. He can cover two positions. Probably will play right back, to be honest with you. Also can do a little bit of a job in midfield. So this is more of a flex player. He's good at, he's reasonably good at a bit of everything. He's not world class, but he can help you out. He's sort of like a James Milner. He can play, as you can see, in obviously three positions very comfortably, making it so this is going to be our team. He does slot in at right back right off the bat. So we've got Matus, we've got Gatuda, Gutierrez, I don't know how you say that, I do apologise. Olivier, Tormena, Sakria, Al Maserati, Horta, Castro, Mora, Horta, and also Sesko, who is going to start. Might be a bit soon, but at the end of the day, we did lose our main man when it comes to goals. We did lose the player I wanted to keep, but unfortunately, we had no option in it. The board decided to sell up. So we have tried to get Sesko in, but let's see how he does in his first season and get to season 2 of the results. So that is going to be the end of season 2, and we actually managed to win the league again, so fair play. The big thing about this, Sesko scoring 46 in his first season. He needed no time to settle in whatsoever. 119 goals scored, only 33 conceded. It's an absolute shocking performance in the Champions League, but this team is not ready for the teams that are in the Champions League. We need to strengthen so much to even compete in that division. The whole point in this rebuild for me was to make them dominant in Portugal. I don't even think in 5 years, unless we get some real big money come in, I don't think it's logical to actually compete with the biggest teams in Europe. We also managed to win the Super Tarka again and the Allianz Cup, which again makes it a treble winning season. These might not be some of the biggest trophies in world football, but at the end of the day, you can only play what you put into, and that's what we've done, winning the league and winning 2 cups, therefore meaning we won a treble. So a very good season again. In terms of the squad then, as you can see, some of the key stats are really incredible. You've got Sesko actually scoring 46 goals, as mentioned. You've got 22 assists for Horta. You've got 28 goals coming in for Ruiz, who obviously is going to be our backup striker, I believe, or attacker midfielder type of player. We've got 27 goals coming in from Horta and 14 assists. Again, some of the stats these players are putting up is very good. 14 assists for Medeiros, who again, very good player, one of the more attacker midfielders we have. 12 assists coming in from Maserati. Again, pretty much everyone does contribute. You're more than welcome to have a look at some of these stats. I'm not going to read out every single one, only the real key ones, but top performer of the season, who is that? We're looking at a 7.5, I believe. 7.5 is going to be joint top Porter and Banza. So very, very good players. In terms of the worst performer, is actually going to be, with 49 appearances, is going to be our goalkeeper. But I never like to discredit the goalkeepers because it's so hard to get a high match rating as a goalkeeper, especially when clearly we were the dominant team. So chances are we didn't even have too many shots on goal. Therefore, his match rating is going to be fairly average. In terms of spending, this is where I'll get disappointed with this league, because we managed to win the treble back-to-back. Obviously, we won 6 trophies now. We got backed in the first window. This the second season, going into the third season, is absolutely abysmal. We've been given 9.9 million, which is pretty much nothing when you've got to take into consideration we probably will lose players, even though we're winning the league, because they want a new challenge. We've got to try and replace them players, and to be honest, the players we have at the club are good players, so we're probably going to end up seeing worse players come in compared to what we lose. So it is always a challenge to keep competitive in this division unless you're one of the top sides. But enough whining. Let's get into the third season of transfers and see who we can bring in. Before we do get into that though, guys, if you are enjoying this rebuild so far, please do leave a like on the video and please do comment who you want to see next being rebuilt. And last but definitely not least, please do subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. This way, you're never going to miss an upload. You get notified when I live stream, when I upload, when I do a community poll, and much more. So definitely hit that notification bell as well. But let's get into the third season and see who we can bring in with 9 million. The third transfer window, again, unfortunately, we end up losing quite a few players here. We actually do decide to sell Sakuria because he wasn't happy at the club. He wasn't going to sign a contract, and he was just in a bit of a bad attitude. He wanted to leave, so I thought we may as well get something for him instead of, like this, losing everyone on the free, which is never nice to see. Now, in terms of players, guys, we had next to nothing to spend. I'm going to be honest, we had next to nothing to actually spend, so we managed to sign one player permanently, which is going to be Jose Griguera from Gijon for 9.2 million. And also, the only bit of business, I needed to stack out the midfield because that is where we were lacking players. And we brought in, on loan, Yassine Adli from Milan. With the option to buy, whether he'll want to is a completely different matter. The players we brought in, though, are actually very good. This guy looked very good considering the price. Valued at double of what he is. His attributes are very good, reasonably tall, and to be honest, should get into the first team, if not be a very close candidate to get into that midfield, because he's a very good player. And this guy here was just a player that was available on the market. To be honest, he was one of the loanees, which I could afford his wages. So I thought, do you know what? He looks quite good. He's young. He's been playing for a decent side. He wants to gain experience. I thought we'll get him in, see what he can do, and hopefully we do get the chance, if he's good, to permanently sign him. But obviously in this division with our finances, that is never guaranteed. And this is going to be what the team looks like. So actually, the new man who I said probably will get into the team doesn't actually get in there purely based off the best 11. Obviously, that will probably change midway through the season when he's given his chance, because he should be in there realistically. Adley does get in at centre mid, so a very good chance for him to actually prove himself. And hopefully, if he enjoys it at the club and he's good, we can sign him on a permanent deal. A very similar back four lined up here, very similar attack. So let's get into the third season and hopefully keep on winning the league, because if we win this, it'll be 3 for 3. The third season went very good in terms of the league. We also won the Super Tarka and also the Alliance. So again, the Alliance. So to be honest, it's a treble winning season. We went out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, but it was against Liverpool. We definitely haven't got the side to beat Liverpool yet. Tesco scoring 58 goals this season, 101 goals scored, and also only 26 conceded, ranking us to third best in this category. And if we go one step ahead then, so we're going to go into the stats. We've got 58 goals, 17 assists for Sesko. This guy is on fire. Whether we're going to be able to keep him at the club is beyond me. I don't know if we are. I'm going to do all I can to do it, but it is going to be a difficult task. We've got 20 assists and 17 goals coming in for Horta. 20 goals and 20 assists, and 41 goals coming in for Abel Ruiz. Again, a very good player who is almost too good to be, you know, classed as not one of the top players now. He is a very good player, and a player who, again, is valued at a decent amount. And you can see here, we've got some players. We've got probably 2, 3 players, 4 players who are valued at quite high amounts of money. And it does worry me, because when the board get offers for them midway through the season, they can sell them, and it happened with Vitinha. I hope it doesn't happen here, because the money we get given isn't enough to replace these standard of players. It really isn't. 15 assists and 11 goals coming in for Adley, obviously the player that is on loan. Hopefully we're able to keep him, because we could really do with him in the midfield after having quite a good season. 10 assists, 4 goals coming in for Gragera, obviously the new man, who actually ended up playing, here you go, 50 appearances, dropping quite a good match rating as well. 8 assists and 13 goals for Masrati again. But going into the next season, we actually got a bit of an improvement. We got £29 million to spend. So unless people leave, this can go on bolstering the team. Obviously, we have got to try and get loads of people to sign contracts as well. So, you know, there is a lot of finance going on behind the scenes, which I don't show. So hopefully we can get into this 4th season of the transfers and bring in some players. But let's do that now and hopefully strengthen this team a little bit. And that is what we've done. This here, though, is absolutely awful to see. I'm not even going to read out all the names, but all of these players, some younger players that weren't even going to get a look in, some players which I could have done with a rotation, they weren't happy. I don't know what it is about this club. I don't know if it's because they don't play a lot or anything like that, but there's so many players that were unhappy. Even though we're winning the league, we're winning cups, they're not happy. So we lose so many players, which I've never done in a rebuild before. I've never lost this amount of players, so that is really disappointing and very annoying. But we do bring in 2 fantastic players again, bolstering that midfield. We bring in Cole Palmer from Manchester City, obviously a very hot prospect in real life, for £14.5 million, and also Agate from Sporting, obviously weakening a rival there, for £8.5 million. Now, Cole Palmer is a player who I have used on Football Manager before, and he done very good. He's not classed as a wonder kid, but his attributes could be given that, because he has got tons of potential. Obviously, he can get to that 4-star there, and he is worth more than what we paid for him. And to be honest, he should get into this team with no issues. He's a different style of player. Obviously, he's got to adapt, come to Portugal. I know it's a completely different league for him, but I saw him on the market. He wasn't very happy before, so I thought, we'll put a bid in for him. I thought Man City were going to want more of this figure, but we got him for a bit cheaper, and hopefully he has a good season. And this guy here, obviously, is a fantastic player, worth quite a bit more than what we paid for him as well. Again, pretty well-rounded, not the best of the best, but 2 bonuses in this. We're getting a great player, and also it does weaken Sporting, who obviously might not be the most direct rivals, but they are when it comes to winning stuff in this division. So with this team then, this is how it's going to line up. Cole Palmer not yet to break into the starting 11. Agate does break in. Again, very similar side coming in here. But hopefully we will see Cole Palmer cement himself into this first team by the end of this sort of video and by the end of this save. But let's get into the 4th season then and see how we finish. And hopefully win the 4th season trophy 4 times on the bounce. And that is what we done. We managed to win the Portuguese league again very convincingly here. Sporting actually finishing in 5th. We were the best at scoring goals, best at conceding, so getting better defensively. Lost in the first knockout round to Dortmund. We're really not cementing ourselves in the Champions League. But to do that, you do need a very, very good side. And we have a good side for Portugal. Not quite European domination, though, so I'm not too annoyed about that. We also win the Super Tarka again and the Alliance, or the Alliance, always the Alliance. I'm pretty sure that is consecutive seasons now as well. We are absolutely dominating Portugal as a whole in terms of the league and also the trophies. So, do you know what? My task is pretty much done here, but we have got one more season to obviously try and improve a little bit in the Champions League. I don't think we're going to win it, but it would be nice to at least get to the quarters or the semis. But let's have a little breakdown of the stats then. So we've got 7 assists, 43 goals for Sesko. Well, not quiet, but compared to his last season, 22 assists and 12 goals coming in for Horta. Cole Palmer with 11 assists and 18 goals. And to be honest, do you know what? In terms of stats, it was actually quite quiet in terms of goals, because last season we had a few 20s, you know, a few highs like 17s, 16s, a couple of 40s, and but we were still the best for scoring goals, so it's not really an issue, but definitely a little bit quieter in terms of the goals scored. But again, decent match ratings being dropped by pretty much everyone that does play a lot of goals. Gragera actually being the most disappointing player and playing 42 games, so definitely want to see a little bit of an improvement from him. Going into the last season then, we have £32.4 million to spend, which is a ridiculous amount considering what we've been given. Now, I'm hoping we can bring in sort of 4 to 5 players with this money, because when you do a rebuild with a team like this, and that's no offence when I say that, you can't go out and just sign one player because it's not logical. If you, like the Newcastle one, we could go out and spend 60 million on one player, but you can't do that in a team like this. You simply can't. But let's get into the last transfer window of this save, which is going to be season 5 of the transfers, and see who goes out, because I'm bound to say someone is going to leave, however much I try and convince them to stay, and see who we can bring in with the money we've been given. So, as predicted, 2 players did leave. Luckily, this time around, it was only the backup goalkeeper, so, and also Durant, so they're not massive losses. Obviously, I'd always rather get a little bit of money for someone, but him going to Sporting isn't an issue because to be honest, he was backup. He never really got a look in. We did, however, go over and replace him, which is going to be with Luis Jr. We also brought in Mohamed Iratan from Juventus, also known as Zebre, on here for 3.1. Simican, that is the Simican, by the way, obviously not having the best save or best season in this save. We signed him from the Atletico Madrid B side for 9.7 million. Diamonde from Lyon for 9.2 million, and also Varank, I hope that's how you say that, from Wolfsburg for 10 million. So a lot of signings, spending £33.5 million. So quite a few signings, and to be honest, some very good players brought in there. The first player is going to be the winger replacement. Again, definitely not one of the wingers you pick out your bucket list, you know. He's not the best of the best, but he can grow into a slightly better player, and he was a player that was available on the market and did fancy a move to this club. We then go over and sign Simican, who is a player which I didn't expect to actually see, especially for this price range. I mean, usually this guy costs you quite a bit of money, especially considering we're sort of getting on to 5 years into the save. Again, his attributes are honestly fantastic. He's another player that can fill in at right back if needed, but he will be playing as a centre back, obviously. Very quick as well, good height on him, good determination, and again, for that price, you're not going to find much better. Backup goalkeeper, I'm not going to talk too much about him. We needed a better backup goalkeeper than Almarim, so I thought, you know what, we'll get this guy in. He was available on the market. He looks reasonably good, and he was happy with the agreed playing time, so I thought, why not? We need another backup goalkeeper, and this guy sort of suited that position. And then we go on to Diamande, who obviously, again, is going to be a centre-back. We can't seem to keep a variety of centre-backs at this club without them either falling off in form or wanting to leave or unhappy, so now we obviously have sort of 5 players. This looks like I've wasted money here, but remember, some of these players do play at right back and some of them do play all over the shop, so we do need quite a bit of depth in that defensive area, especially the centre backs and the right back. The left backs sort of have depth anyway, well, not depth, they have rotation, but when it comes to right backs and centre backs, because we have players playing in both, we need a lot of depth when it comes to that position. But this guy looks very good at the end of the day. 24 years old, not the most potential when it comes to growth, but to be honest, as he is, he's a very, very good centre back and someone that will get into the team. And obviously this guy here is a player which you probably should have heard of. Again, decent potential on him, not the best of the best. Sort of a B-Tech Tillemans in my opinion. Again, his attributes are, I would say, decent. I wouldn't say great. Quite quick for a midfielder. Again, good determination, decent work rate, which is pretty much what I signed him for, was them 2 attributes there. Because I do want a little bit of a work engine in that midfield. And again, he's only 22 years old. And it just helps bolster the midfield, you know, because we play 3 in midfield. We play quite a few games every season. Injuries happen. You need to have a very, very good amount of depth in that position. And this is what the team's going to look like. And finally, we are going to see a bit of a switch up here. Because we've actually got Matthias in goal. We've got Souza at right back. Simican, Gatrudia, who obviously is usually our right back, going in at centre-back. Mora, Agate, Gugera, Horta, Cole Palmer, who obviously can play on the right-hand side very comfortably. Horta and Sesko is going to be the preferred start on 11 going into the last season. But let's get into Season 5 and see how we do. And hopefully we can make a little bit of a better account of ourselves in European football. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We do remain champions of Portugal, making it 5 times on the bounce there. And also, we did win the Super Taça, but we also finished. We actually go out in the semi-finals against Benfica in the Allianz. Runners-up in the Taça as well, and also go out in the first knockout round against Barcelona. I'm going to look back when I edit this because I'm pretty sure we have been stitched up with the first knockouts we've got. We've done very well to get through the groups as many times as we have, sorry. But I don't want to disrespect the team, but the team we've got is a good side, but it's just not Champions League standard in terms of going out and trying to win it. It is a good side, and obviously you have to have a good team to get through the groups, but it's just not ready yet to actually fully on full-on compete in the Champions League when it comes to getting past the quarters, semi-finals and onwards. But still, best at scoring goals, second at conceding, still 17 conceded, and we were second best. So, I mean, overall, very, very good there. In terms of the actual stats then this season, so actually these are screenshots. This was actually blocked that off, which is very annoying. But we can actually see Sesko there with 32 goals, 8 assists, 14 assists and 14 goals for Cole Palmer. So in his first season, actually starting, that's quite good. 43 games played. I'll take that, to be honest, for a first season. And everyone else does actually sort of drop off a little bit in terms of stats and things like that. But overall, I am very happy with how this save has gone. We've won the league title 5 times on the bounce, something which you can't turn your nose up at. I never thought we would win it 5 times. My prediction before I started this sort of save was that I would do probably, well, obviously 5 seasons and win 3 of them. But one thing I am very annoyed about is we've not had one window where the money has been absolutely nuts. Like, I mean, like a 40 million plus window. So that is why, and I'll stick by this, that is why we've not been able to go into the Europa League or Champions League and win it, because we're always in that situation where our team's good enough to get out of the groups, but not good enough to actually go ahead and win it or even compete in it really beyond the groups. But we've done very well to get out of the groups as many times as we have. So overall, very happy with the save. And if we were going to continue, we would have been given, again, only 25 million. So it looks like that amount isn't going to go up whatever happens. But 5 years at the club, this is what it looks like. So in 2021, we managed to win the Super Tacker. We also managed, you can see that the president actually leaves the club. 2021, we appointed a new president there. Allianz runners-up in 2022. Portugal champions in 2022. Tacker to Portugal winners as well in 2022. Under soil heating installed, very interesting thing, in 2022. And also the Super Tacker in 2022, winners of that as well. 2023 hit us. 2023, we won the Allianz, we won the league. Portugal, obviously, the Portuguese league. The Super Tacker again, winning the treble there. So there were a couple of seasons, if not 3 seasons actually, where we won literally pretty much everything in Portugal. So we have definitely turned this team into one of the most dominant teams in Portugal as of today in terms of this save. I'm not on about in real life. But moving on then to 2024. The Allianz again, the Portuguese league again. Obviously, we won that 5 times on the bounce. We won, or actually become runners-up in Tacker to Portugal. 2024, we also won the Super Tacker again. A couple of people here as captain. 2025, the Allianz Cup. Won the league again. Runners-up in Tacker to Portugal. Won the Super Tacker again, though. Again, President Mikel Camara wins the second term elections. So that's how they do it in this league. They obviously elect when it comes to that type of stuff. I'm really intrigued to actually do a personal Portuguese save one day. 2026, we have got winning the league again and also the runners-up of the Portugal or the Tacker to Portugal. So the last season, probably the most disappointing, which is a little bit anticlimactic, but it is the way that it is at the end of the day. But if you have enjoyed this video, guys, you like the rebuilds I post on this channel, recently you've been absolutely killing it with the rebuilds as well as the tactics, please do leave a like on this video. Please do comment, as I mentioned before, of the team that you want to see rebuilt next. And last but definitely not least, please do subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. But that is all for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.